I think we really need to be on top of our game. Now, if the first row could just scooch back a little bit, need a little bit more room there. All right. Here we have what amounts to two different types of questions that I think we should be pretty comfortable with by this point in time. So I look at the first one and it says the sum of three consecutive integers is 21. Find the middle integer. Let's get rid of that. Now, there's nothing about a geometric shape in here, so I'm not going to draw any pictures, but I am going to set up a table. I would like you to look on your paper right now and see if you set up a table. If you didn't set up a table, you're not understanding what we're looking for you to do with these word problems. It's either a picture or a table or a picture every single time. If it's about a shape or a garden or a yard or a pool, something like that, we go picture. If it's not, we go table. Now, what it says here is that there are three consecutive integers. So I have first consecutive integer, second consecutive integer, third consecutive integer. Put them in my table here. What's the first one going to be, everybody? N, X, or whatever. What's the next consecutive integer always going to be? Go ahead. It's not 1. Go ahead. No. N plus 1, yes. Because we don't know what the first integer is. It could be 1, but it could be 41. We really don't know. What I know is whatever one it is, to get to the next integer, I have to add 1. For example, let's say it was 41. If it was 41, what would the next integer be? 42. So we just add 1 to get there. And what's the last one going to be? N plus 2. Good. So now it says the sum, what's sum mean? Add, is 21. So if I add them all up, here's my first one, N. Here's my second one, N plus 1. And then here's my third one, N plus 2. And altogether I get 21. Is this a same side situation or an opposite side situation? Same side. Good. And we want to see this, that you recognize one n plus another n plus another n is 3 n's. That's a phenomenally important step to take. Mr. Glock, listen to me. Is it more important that you fake out that you're doing your homework, or is it more important that you learn? Kevin, which one's more important? Now, I appreciate that you want to get homework done and get credit for it. That's a really good thing. By the way, did you know it was like 38 degrees this morning? No. Oh, it was. Kevin's got shorts on. So, but Kevin, the thing is, if on your quizzes you're missing, look here, Kevin, don't look down. On your quizzes, you are continually missing the step that sees the same side, one n plus another n plus another n, and then writing 3n. If I give you, the next step is going to be 1 plus 2 is 3, and that equals 21. Now, I've graded your paper enough to know that if I give you an equation that looks like this, you have a really good chance of getting it right. You're doing well on those. Your problem is going from the first line to the second line. And if when I go over these questions on the do it, you're spending time doing tonight's homework, you're not going to learn that step. So let's focus. Once again, all on the same side of the equal sign. 1n, 2n, 3n's, that's where my 3n comes from. And 1 and 2 add up to 3. Now, it's a standard two-stepper. Send in the ground troops. 3n is 18, divided by 3, n is equal to 6. So does that mean the answer is 6? No. What's the answer going to be? Not Elizabeth, somebody else here. What's the answer going to be? Go ahead.
N equals 6.
No. Go ahead.
6 plus 1?
Yes, it's going to be 7. Why is it 7 and not 6? Just? Yeah, it says find the middle integer. 6 goes here, but the middle one would be 7. What would the biggest one be? 8. Okay. So that is a very traditional type of consecutive integer question. It is something that we should be comfortable with. Okay, next. Johnny says the value of 5 to the negative 2 is negative 25. What did he do wrong? Jenny says 8x to the 0 is 8. Is she right or wrong? All right, so what did Johnny do wrong? Somebody else here, help me out. Come on, let's go. Somebody else rocking and rolling, rocking and rolling. Who's gonna help me here? Somebody get going here. What did they do wrong? 5 to the negative 2 is negative 25. That's definitely wrong. We need a little bit of help right here. Kayla, what do you think? Yeah, exactly. The negative exponent right there does not mean put a negative number. Negative exponents never mean put a negative number. Negative exponent, reciprocal. So it's 1 over 5 to the 2, which is 1 over, that looks like a 4, but it's supposed to be a 1. 1 over 25, okay? Now, as far as 8x to the 0, is that going to equal 8, yes or no? Josh? That's right, but here's the thing. This 0 here has nothing to do with the 8. Yeah, it only has to do with the x. If I wanted it to have to do with the 8, I would need to write it like this. All right, so anything to the 0 is 1. There you go. So x to the 0 is 1, and then 8 times 1 is 8. Okay. Next, some of these are wrong. Which ones are wrong? And then correct them. Is negative 4 plus negative 5 negative 9? Shema, what do you think? Negative 4 plus negative 5, is it negative 9? Well, then what do you think it is? Come on, guys, we need things up a little up tempo here, right? Let's go. Jalen, what do you think? No, it is actually right.
Well,
It is negative 9.
but I thought 2 negatives.
No, and never in this class have I ever said 2 negatives is a positive. Now, you did learn that last year. The problem is it's 2 negatives when multiplying or dividing. And that's why when multiplying or dividing, we say if you multiply by a negative, change the sign. That's why I avoid that rule at all costs. What I always say with a question like this, if you have 4 negatives and 5 more negatives, what do you have all together? 9 negatives. Okay, let's take a look at letter B. Negative 8 minus 4 is 12. Is that right or wrong? Elizabeth? It is wrong. What should it be? It should be negative 12. Remember, everything is addition, unless there's a multiply and divide. And the sign in front tells you what it is. So this is 8 negatives and 4 more negatives. 8 negatives, 4 more negatives, negatives. Is going to be negative 12. All right, what about 1 minus a negative 3? Is that 2? Is 1 minus negative 3 2? Rena, what do you think?
No.
No. What should it be?
4.
That's right. Very good. Circle agregare. 1 plus 3 is 4. What about letter D? Negative 5 times 4. Mr. Clark. Is it negative 20? Yes or no?
Yes.
It is. You got lucky on your guess. Now, negative 5 times 4 is 20. Look, I'm multiplying by a positive. When I multiply by a positive, I leave the sign. Okay. Now, I'm not going over the homework because the homework that we had the other day was almost identical to today's lesson. Very little differences. So we can go over it tomorrow and have it down pat. You know what I mean. Whenever I say tomorrow, I mean the next school day. Now, what we got going on here is all about slope. And your next quiz is going to focus in on slope. There's going to be 5 questions. 4 of them are about slope. What kind of slope do we have here in the first picture? Positive. What about the second picture? Third picture? Fourth picture? Negative. Remember, when we look at slopes, we always read slopes as left to right. Now, I know that looks like a line. I don't mean it to. But we read them left to right, and then if we go up, we have a positive. This is going up, therefore it's positive. This is going up, so it's positive. This is going up, so it's positive. Reading this guy left to right, is it going up? No, it's going down, so it has to be negative. Okay? Now, within the slope world, there are 3 different ways to understand slope. And I actually think it's helpful to understand all 3 ways, but you can pick your favorite and do it the most. One is rise over run. I know Mr. Frank likes that way. So you may have done it last year. Now, when something rises, does it go up or does it go sideways? Sure. Every once in a while, I watch these weird shows on like the Science Channel or the Discovery Channel or something, and they talk about that there are alien spaceships under the ocean. They do. Now, I have no idea if this is true or not. I'm not going to completely discount it. I have no idea if there's alien forms of life. I couldn't tell you. I can tell you that there are some people who are very trustworthy people who say they have seen these things. Personally, I believe them. I absolutely believe them. However, to me, that doesn't mean they're alien spacecraft, because it could just be our military developing these really weird weapons, and they just don't want anybody to know about it. So we call them UFOs, and what UFOs stand for is unidentified flying object. And they truly are a UFO. But a UFO does not mean from outer space somewhere. It could be from good old USA, Russia, Mother Russia, something like that, okay? All I know is there are some pilots who swear that there are these alien spaceships in the ocean. Now, this is getting a little bit far-fetched for me, but whatever. And they say that what they see is the alien spacecraft rise up out of the water. So that element of rising means vertical. It's up and down. So when we see rise over run, we're talking about the up and the down goes on the top of the fraction. And when you run, we just talked about Ziva. She's running across the backyard. We have these sliding glass doors. She goes down the steps, she hangs a right, she takes 2 steps to get up to full speed, and it's like step, step, and then and then she cuts behind the shed and she tries to kill a raccoon. So, that's run. Run is horizontal. Rise. When we say, let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, what do? We stand up. Okay, so rise over run is a great way to look at it. You can feel free to look at it that way. I like changing y over changing x. Now that little triangle is a Greek symbol delta, and delta means difference. So that's the change. The difference is the change. If the temperature in the morning is 40 degrees, and in the afternoon it's 50 degrees, how much has it changed? 10 degrees, right? 40 to 50, and that's a difference. 50 minus 40 is 10. So this is change in y over change in x. Y is vertical, x is horizontal. Or I can even do this last formula, which I don't want to talk too much about now. Eventually, we'll get really into this formula, and we'll do a lot of work with it. But for now, it's not important, okay? Now, your quiz tomorrow is going to be a lot like this. So if you can do these questions here, and again, if you can do these questions, you should be able to get 4 quiz questions right. Because 4 out of the 5 are like this, and they're worth 20 points each. So if you can do these, you got an 80, just to start. What's the slope of this first line? Give everybody a second to catch up, okay? What's the slope of the first line? By the first line, I mean right here, the one with the dot on top of it. Alan, what do you think? Let's see. Here's a point on the line. Here's a point. I go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. 4 over 1 is perfect. Very good. Okay, everybody tell me the slope of this line here. I just put a blue dot next to it. Tell me the slope of that line. First off, is the slope positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative, definitely, because we're going down. I got a point here, and I got a point here. What's that slope going to be? Kev, head in the game, right? I got to see that stuff written right down on your paper there, bud. All right, who thinks they want to handle this one? Elizabeth, what do you think? What'd you say? Positive or negative? Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, down 5 over 1. Okay, let's take a look at the third line, which will be green right here. Let's go with this line here. We go from here to here. What's the slope of that line going to be? Ulysses, what do you think, bud? How much am I going up and how much am I going over? Up 2, I agree, right? 1, 2, good, so we know it's gonna be 2 over, and now how much am I going over to get to there?
5.
That's right, so 2/5 is correct, very good, yes.
If you do the underneath, you go over 5 and up 2, is it, can you write 5 also?
Here's the problem, the formula specifically says either rise over run or change in y over change in x. So I want you thinking about doing the vertical first always. When kids make mistakes with slopes, it's always because they flip the fraction, or at least 99% of the time. So I don't even want you to think like that. Just as soon as you see slope, up and down first, always, and then you'll avoid that. God bless. Okay, next up, let's take a look at this line over here. We're gonna go from here to here. What's that slope gonna be? This should be a nice way to start the marking period with this quiz, right? Kevin, what do you think, bud? To go from this dot to this dot, here's my fraction. How much am I going to go up and how much am I going to go over? Kevin, come on, work with me here. I gotta go from, Kevin, look at me. Kevin, you're moving this way. We don't move this way. We move up and down, and then we move left and right, okay? How much do I go up to get to that dot? Kevin, don't look at your paper, look here. How much do I go up to get to that dot? Kevin, come on, count. How far do I have to go up to get to the line that dot's on? Good. Now, how much do I have to go over to get to that dot? Good. So 2 over 4. Now, isn't this dot right smack in the middle, everybody? Couldn't I have also gone up 1 over 2? But this is what's really cool. Doesn't 2/4 break down to 1/2?
Yeah.
So, whether I want to look at it as up 2 over 4 or up 1 over 2, it's still the same slope, and both slopes would be right on your quiz. All right, let's go to our last one, which is here,
Negative?
and let's go from here to here. Jimmy, what do you think? First off, tell me positive or negative. Good, it is negative because it's going down. Now, how many am I going down to get from this dot over to that dot? Good. And how many am I going over to get to that dot? 3 it is. So negative 2/3 is the right answer. Yes?
Can you be getting them with that negative, or no, it's still gonna confuse, like going over that way?
Well, look, this is what you need to understand. We read all slopes from left to right. Is that a positive slope or a negative slope? Positive. This slope is a what? Hey, psst, stop. This slope is what? Negative. Now, the next point I'd like to bring out is this. As we go here, what's this slope going to be? What numbers between negatives and positives? 0. So what would the slope of this line be? 0. Very good. Okay. Next, very quickly, we did all of those slopes. On your paper, on the graph below, passing through -5, -3, a slope of 3/4. First off, let's find -5, -3. I hope you remember this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. There's the point. -5, -3. Now it wants a slope of 3/4. Hold it. I go up 3, 1, 2, 3, over 4. 1, 2, 3, over 4. There's my line. Okay, folks, hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Toodaloo, ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. Arrivederci. Adios, amigos y amigas. Toodaloo, ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. Arrivederci. Garusharus. Toodaloo, ta-ta.
Bien. ¿Y el igual valía?